All right, big dog. So here's what I was thinking for this next prep. So the meet is going to be the second week of February. I don't know the exact date, but that gives us what? September, October, November, December, January. About 5.5 months now. I was thinking sometime mid-September, early September, we start getting back into real training. Broadly speaking, so I wrote that message in True Coach, like, I want to get my body weight down just a little bit to like 77-ish, and then try and get up to like 81 by the meet, so it averages out to about a kilo a month, which is, for me, honestly, that's pretty aggressive. But realistically, if I do want to hit that 722.5 total sometime next year, like I gotta get up to probably 83, the top end of the weight class, if not 84-ish. I don't know, right? I just wanted to, this past meet, I wanted to just like not cut, eat breakfast, and see what happens. I weighed in at 79.5. Whereas going into nationals, I was waking up at like 77.5. So I was 2 kilos heavier, but mind you, I did eat breakfast in the morning and I drank a bunch, and immediately after I weighed in, I took a shit. So like, realistically, I was only really up a kilo, I would say, walking around weight. So body weight will be going up, and accordingly, I think it makes sense to make use of that surplus and really push the hypertrophy work. I want to try only benching twice a week. One day, obviously in the shirt, and another day either in a slingshot or like, I don't know. I don't know for sure. And then the main secondary movements I want to push are the guillotine press and weighted dips. Not the like huge dips, but actual like normal weighted dips. I want to push both of those. I think both of those are great exercises. The guillotine press for the pec tendon stuff, as well as it just blew up my pec musculature when I was doing it. My pecs are, I would argue, they're smaller than they were a year or two ago. So the pec musculature and the tendons, and then the dips, I mean, they're dips. What more do you need to, like, they get you fucking strong, right? And it's kind of nice not to be benching. That's the upper body stuff. The lower body stuff, I want to get back to doing stiff-legged deadlifts. So one day would be stiff-legged deadlifts. The other day would be sumo work. The more I think about it, the more I think like my sumo tends to do best when I am not pushing the intensity super hard, or maybe better put is the relative intensity isn't super high, but the intensity is, like a lot of doubles, triples, fours around like 80%. So like the intensity is high, but the RP is quite low because doubles or triples at 80%. That's not that difficult. That's the deadlifts. Squats, I want to monkey around with some stuff. I think the belt squat was awesome. I think we should continue to do that. I want to monkey around with high bar squats. I think my knee is in a place now that I can actually do them. I think it makes sense to start with high bar pause just to limit the load. I think there will be less, by doing high bar instead of low bar on that secondary session, I think it'll limit the stress on the hip, especially the groin, just because there'll be less hip flexion occurring on the eccentric. It's just going to be, we'll just have to see how the knee tolerates it. So in my head, this is kind of going roughly September start. September and October, we focus on raw stuff. We build a raw base. September, we do stiff-legged deadlifts and regular belt squats, and the high bar paused. October, we switch the high bar pause to regular high bar squats, and we add bands to the belt squat, and we get a deficit going on the stiff-leggeds. So to me, that's going to be like maximum stress from these accessories, from the belt squats and the stiff leggeds. That's October. And then we hop into November, December, January. So that's going to be when we start putting on the squat suit. So November we'll throw in the squat suit, and hopefully ideally keep the high bars in as a secondary exercise. That'll be the looser squat suit, which will honestly be fitting probably kind of tight by that point. And then we take off the band on the belt squat to kind of balance out the additional stress from the squat suit. And similarly, we take out the deficit from the stiff-legged deadlifts to again balance out the stress of the added axial loading from the squat suit and the deadlift suit. So September, regular belt squat, regular stiff leggeds. October, we add in the band on the belt squat and the deficit on the stiff leggeds. November, we throw in a belt and we continue to do, and then we take out the deficit and we take off the bands, add a belt to the stiff leggeds is what I mean. And then January, we like really push it. And then towards the end of January, I think we do the exact same kind of vibe we did leading into this last meet, which is like kind of a like 7 to 10 day like deload thing where we're freaking swimming and chilling, and then we have kind of this like relatively chill coast into the meet kind of vibe. I think that went really well. I think that's pretty much it. I think what I wanted to get across was that I want to monkey with the high bars because in theory it's less stress on the hips, less stress on the back. I want to monkey with the stiff-legged deadlifts. I think they're a high ROI exercise. Maybe that first block, like it'll be sets of 8 to 10, maybe 6 to 10 kind of thing. Probably 6 to 10. Then the deficit's like 6 to 8, you know? And then and then kind of stick with that like 6 to 8 for the next block, and then probably get them down to like sets of 5 for the final block, that kind of thing. Same with like the dips and the guillotine presses, like that kind of general vibe of not going ultra high rep with them and not going ultra low rep, but kind of the higher rep of a strength range and then the lower rep range of a strength range. And then generally pushing the accessories pretty hard. Like, I think on the squat, I don't think I have a real weak point on the squat. Like, in my equip squat, like you look at it and my knees didn't come in on that 242, my like hips didn't rise, like my back doesn't collapse, like everything is pretty good on my squat. I think on the deadlifts, I lack, honestly, I think it'd be glute strength, and that's kind of the idea behind the stiff-legged deadlifts. I was also thinking of doing sumo block pulls or sumo stiff-legged deadlifts or something like that, because I find once I get to the knee is where I lose, that's where I start to lose momentum in the lift at maximal loads. On that 250 triple I did, and same with the 250 single I did at the meet. Like, I can tell once it gets to around the knees, that's where things are getting sketchy. And that's something that's common. That's all the advanced lifters I know. They kind of actually miss their sumo deadlifts, not off the floor. They kind of miss them right around knee height. Unless you're in that super extremely abducted textbook position, which is not really the case for a lot of lifters. I find a lot of people miss around the knee, and to me, I don't think that's a hamstring thing for me. I think that's more a glute thing. So that's the idea behind the stiff leggeds. Bench wise, I don't know, man. When I was prepping for just like the bench only stuff before getting into the 3 lift stuff again, my bench I think was arguably stronger. And I was benching twice a week, and I was doing a ton of bodybuilding. And I think I don't know. Like, I truly cannot tell, but I do think that I have lost muscle mass trying to bench 3 days a week and reducing the amount of accessories I was doing. And I think the bench will do well uh, by bringing that back in and reducing the frequency a bit, which I know you love to hear. Uh, I think that's kind of it. And like the general structure will be the same, I think. Of uh, I'll text you the general structure I'm thinking of, but that's kind of the idea. I hope that makes sense. September and October, push the raw shit, kind of build that raw base that I feel like I'm lacking right now. November, start getting into the looser equipment. December, push the what is that? September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, December-ish, start pushing the tighter kit. Then January is when we would kind of, maybe like mid-Jan is when we'd start to like do that extended deload, coast into the meat kind of vibe. Like 3 weeks out kind of deal. Um, yeah, and the entire time, as best as possible, especially for September, October, and maybe November as well, really be trying to push the accessories. Like, I think that's when I'm doing the raw work, I just have so much lower central stress that I can get away with pushing the peripheral stuff way more. Um, Obviously, when I get into the tighter kit, it's just kind of a mess, and it's more so just staying alive. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else. Guillotine presses, dips. I love pull-ups. I don't think I need a lot of back work. I don't think that's a weak point on me. I think if anything it's like pecs. You can never have enough triceps for equip benching. I don't know, glutes, right? Um my adductors are ridiculous, but I think you can always have more adductors. Um yeah. I think that's kind of what I wanted to get across is that I wanted to push the guillotine presses, the dips, the stiff-legged deadlifts, keep the relative intensity low on the sumo deadlifts, push the squat through the belt squats and the high bars. Start off with like pause low bar and pause high bar and slowly ramp those up. See how the knee tolerates the high bar. And if that's good, if it tolerates the high bar, which, fuck, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, like high bars were super key for my squat. Like they just, it punishes bad technique. It forces you to keep your core a little bit more engaged. If you tip forward, you're going to decapitate yourself. It just, it's just all the good habits are with high bar, and it's less stress on your elbows and shoulders and all that. It's good. It's a very good exercise, and it's done well with my squat. Um, I think that's it. And pushing the hypertrophy, making use of the surplus, trying to not get as fat as I can as I move up. Uh, 13 minutes. Holy shit. All right. Have a good one.